Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley is brought to you by Aggressive Marketing Solutions, your solution for all business social media needs. If you need a team of social media marketers and content creators to help you build your brand on social media, text WES 2020 to 541-709-6502 today. Get started building your brand on social media. Success is defined differently by every individual. Some have never even considered what it is. I hope when I get older I'll be successful. What does that even mean? Money? Cars? Big house? On this show, we strive to look at it a little deeper, learning from successful individuals on what they believe success really is and how to obtain it. Everybody, enjoy the show. This is Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. This is bonus coverage for Vince Van Voltenberg. Hey, before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the show. If you could do me a favor, if you're listening to this on the podcast, I need your help. I need a like, I need a share, I need a review. Give me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast if you're listening to this. Subscribe if you're listening anywhere else. It helps grow the show. And if you could do me another favor, this is a real hard one, but take a screenshot of the podcast and share it on your social media wherever you're listening to it. If you would like to donate to the show, go to tvpbn/channels/SS to become the Last Question sponsor. All you got to do is be the highest donator for the week. You can also make weekly contributions or a one-time donation to the show. This is going to help me grow the show, help me buy new supplies like microphones and things like that to keep the show sounding great, have new hardware on my computer to keep things happening and editing and things like that. If you would like to be a sponsor, be in the pre-roll, post-roll, any of the advertisements that we have, just go ahead and DM me and I'll get you some rates, and I'd love to help you do that. Another thing I wanted to talk about is my sponsor, TVPBN, has a great 20,000 viewer live stream network that is growing daily. They're doing a great job of pushing the things out. When you see my Facebook live show, it is on TVPBN, and it is a great way to put your name out there. If you would like to have your own show, they're offering a discounted rate. Just text WES 2020 to 541-709-6502 and let them know that you're looking for that discounted rate. You can also DM me for details as well. All right, so let's get right into it. I'm going to throw out a quote here real quick that I actually wrote down. You want to know someone's true character? Watch how they act when things get hard. What that means to me is that pushing through things when it gets hard, when it gets tough, and to make things better for yourself. You need to be willing to get through the diversity that is created by you. If something gets hard, if something doesn't work out, you'll never achieve it if you just quit. We don't want to become a quitter. We want to be someone who re-engineers the situation. It may not turn out the way that you want it. A lot of things don't happen the first time that you try to attempt them. Think about that. If you attempt them and it happens right off the bat, good for you. But what are you going to do to make that better? Was it a very good goal? Do you feel fulfilled by it? You know, a lot of times like cheating on things, like I was thinking about this. I have about 20 people who listen to the podcast on a regular basis. I get 20 downloads a week. And I've heard people talk about going in and just playing their podcast over and over again and pushing the 2 times, so it goes faster. And so you could play it over and over again and build up your listenership. You can have people do that for you. You can pay people to do that, but that's not what I want. What I want is people like you who are listening to this right now to realize that cheating doesn't help. It doesn't make it better. So you can always cheat your way. I remember when I was a kid playing video games and, you could always put in the cheat code and you get unlimited lives, or you could get, superpowers or whatever they are, but it wasn't really you beating the game. So think about that in life. Find out what you do when it gets hard. Are you the person who's going to go cheat and try and find the easy way to cut the corners, or are you going to push through it? All right, so let's get into Vince. One of the things that was really cool about Vince is we met on social media. About a year ago, Vince had moved to Boise from Texas to open up a barber shop, and he struggled a little bit with doing that. But we were posting back and forth on social media trying to build things. I was trying to build this podcast. It wasn't a podcast at the time because I hadn't quite figured out what I was doing, but I was trying to build what I'm doing, trying to figure out where I was, trying to decide what I was going to do, along with selling blinds, because I wasn't feeling quite like I was getting everything I wanted out of it. So I started posting more on social media. And if you check out the podcast, you'll see it started out as something that was more of, hey, I'm going to try and grow my business through this. So my username for a long time was Wes at Blind Appeal. And I was able to build some business off of that. I still have people who follow me through that And so, I'm almost to 1,700 followers, but a majority of those are people who supported me through Blind Appeal. And now I'm starting to get into these podcaster groups and develop that relationship. But that's part of the thing. Vince was there for me. Vince was sharing my post. Vince was talking to me. Vince helped me to kind of find myself. And that's what I loved about him. He was inspiring. The whole interview, we talked a little bit about him being a barber, but also he's a great person. And that's kind of what's inspiring. He was able to push through what he was doing. Now, he's since that barbershop failed in Boise. He couldn't get enough business in there, and he ultimately had to pack up and move back to Texas where he was from and reopen down there. The thing was that Vince he had two choices. He could have continued to push through that in Boise and not succeeded, or had to move or had to do a bunch of different things. But what he chose to do was go back, do the same thing, but do it in a different place because he knew that he could find success there. And so that's what I like about him, is that he's always willing to push, to keep going no matter what. And so that's inspiring. And we talked about that, you fail and you have a choice. You either continue to work, and that's what Vince's true character is that he's continuing to push through everything in order to make himself successful. And that's what I love about him. We talked about one of the things that was so crazy about that whole situation was we talked about how we were born in the same exact hospital. I never met Vince before that whole situation, but we actually grew up in the same area when, I moved when I was 10, but we grew up in the same area, and it was kind of crazy. Just all these little connections that started happening, not even with just Vince, but with a bunch of other people. When you start putting yourself out there, when you start finding people, great things happen, connecting, talking to people, giving them some value from yourself. I met a great customer that introduced me to Rob Brantley with the Giants. I got that interview with Rob Brantley, and I'm working on another one that he's got me as well, and trying to just make it happen. It's kind of hard to get it going through the baseball season, but not putting yourself out there, you would have never had that. It would have never happened. You find out those things. But one of the things that Vince also talked about was developing a passion. He talked about the story of when he bought his first cassette tape, and it was very vivid. It was very, he really explained what he did and how he found that passion for music. And he remembers going to JCPenney, which I don't even remember going to JCPenney and buying tapes because I don't remember them having them. Maybe Sears, there was tapes, there was CDs, there was 8-tracks, there was records, there's all these things. Some of you do, but some of you don't have any clue about what that was. And I can remember going down to Cosmic Connection in Ontario, which was the music store in Ontario, and buying CDs back and forth. I was just talking to Jay Finning about it the other day, and how I had to buy CDs, and CDs were like $13-14 a piece, and how I have a subscription to Apple Music, and I basically have every CD that I had, but I have a whole book full of CDs. And it's interesting how everything just changes digital, and that's the way it goes. But those are memories that I have, going down there and buying those CDs and then walking out and sticking them in my truck and listening to them for hours. Anytime I was in my truck, music's going. Same kind of thing now. It's just a little different type of music. But finding that and then realizing that, hey, this is what I want to do. Through that, Vince decided that he was going to pursue music as something he always wanted to do since he was a little kid. And the opportunity came for him to try out for Barren Cross when the lead singer left, and they were going to continue to go on tour without the lead singer, but they needed someone to replace him. And so Vince missed the audition somehow, some way, and they had already picked someone. And so what he did was he decided he wasn't going to take no for an answer, because he knew that was his gig. That's what he wanted. That's what he was going to do. So he jumped on a Greyhound bus and he went down to LA where Barren Cross was and asked them, to try out. And he said, no, we already did it. No way. And so Vince had two choices, right? Just like with the barbering, he could have said, forget it. I give up. I'm not going to do it. Or he could continue to push his way through there. And it was a great story that he talked about, because he was able to somehow, some way get an audition by not taking no for an answer. He knew that it was the right thing to do. He knew that it's what he was wanted. And if he would have just taken no, he would have never got to do what he did. So he ended up getting the gig, and you should check out the episode, because it's a great story about how he did it. I would have been the person who was like, no, I'm sorry, I guess I can't do it. You take no for an answer. And that's kind of the switch between this change in my life that I've had in the last year, is I don't take no for an answer anymore. I try to figure out a way that if someone says no, to make it happen no matter what. And that's so inspiring that Vince did that, and he was able to become the touring singer for Barren Cross for that year that he did. They decided ultimately to break up, but he pursued it as hard as he could, and he got it. You can't get it if you quit. Another thing that he talked about after that was, as I said before, Vince is a barber now. He was trying so many different things. He's done so many things. He drove truck, did real estate, was a lead singer for a band, tried his solo career, all those things. And one of the things that I didn't realize in my life and before was like finding things that you're passionate about and going to push through them no matter what. And it basically is you're taking all these ideas and you're throwing them out there, and you may fail at a few here and there, but in reality, what happens is you find that path, you find the way to get to where you want to be. And that's where I'm at now. Have I gotten to the end of that? No, because I have multiple goals. I have lots of goals. I want to be one of the top 5 podcasters, right? So I'm going to have to continue to put out content. I'm going to have to continue to do the things that I'm doing in order to make that happen. I'm going to have to continue to post. There's all these things that you have to do the work, right? You don't do the work, it'll never happen. And so that's the funny part about that whole thing is he was willing to do the work, throwing those things out there and figuring out what it took. Now, when you want to be a barber, you have to go to barber school, right? So the first step is taking that leap into what it is. You look at me, I was a teacher for 4 years, but before that I worked at Les Schwab. The hardest part was having that income that was a steady income, and then saying, hey, I've got to quit having this income or I'm going to have to work twice as hard to go to college to get a degree. And so I had to make that choice, and it was a very hard decision. I mean, I wanted to make that choice, 5 years before that 11 years was up. I wanted to make that choice a couple years after that was up, but it was very hard. I didn't see a way of making it happen. And until I decided that I was going to do that I could quit this company, that it wasn't the only thing that had me, that was the only way that I could survive, I was stuck there. And when I finally took that step, it was this big relief. And then I figured out my way, and teaching didn't really work out for me. I enjoyed it, but it's just not what I thought it would be. And so I tried something different. And so now I'm doing this, and I'm being successful in selling as a salesman. I put trust in myself, and I'm able to accept my abilities as something that is good and know that I'm able to do that. Just things that you have to think about is, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to make your situation better? And you can sit there and you can just sit in the middle, or you can jump off and go straight for it. Think about that. If you're on the fence about trying to do something different, it's so relieving when you finally decide that you're going to do it. If you have a goal, if you have a dream, push for it. And that's what Vince did. He did that with the singing, and then he did that with going to school and being a barber. And he's tried a couple times. Like I said, failure is part of life. You fail, and then what you do after that is kind of really what defines you. Do you give up, or do you push through and continue to go? I was sad to see Vince leave when he left Boise, because he was a very good friend of mine, even in the short time that we spent together. But he went back down to Marble Falls, and he's in Texas, and he is now very successful again. So he's helping himself out. He's having to, build this business again, but he's willing to continue to do it because he knows that's what he wants to do and what he loves. Make sure that if you have that goal, if you have that dream, and understand that it will take a little bit of work, but it's out there and you can make it happen. So one of the things that he talked about was being the best that you can be and taking pride in what you do, no matter what it is, whether it's giving a haircut, whether it's writing a song, whether it's singing, whether it's playing guitar or anything like that. He found passion through barbering, and music is an art. Well, he said something that really meant a lot to me, that was really crazy, because I think about the speaking gig that I have is an art, right? It's something that I create, and creating can be anything. He talks about creating hairstyles and cutting hair as art, which to me, I never thought of it that way. He kind of opened that up to me. You need to realize that what you do is an art. You're creating, no matter what it is. If you're creating a chair out of woodwork, if you're creating a movie, that's art, right? If you're creating a piece of art drawing, a lot of people just think of art as something that gets put on paper, but it's not. There's so many different forms of art, even barbering. So think about that. Think about your passions. Think about what art you're creating, and what your canvas is. That's just a great way to look at things. I'm going to leave it at that, because I think that there's so many good things, and you just need to go back and listen to the show. You need to go back and listen to it. I know I appreciate you listening to the bonus coverage, but really what these bonus coverage episodes are about is getting an idea of what I took out of the episode, and then going back and listening to yourself and see where I take that from, or see what you can get out of it. Again, if you're listening to this on the podcast, like, share, review it. And in your review, talk about what moved you in the episode, because that's really what it's about. It's helping people create passion for what they do in everyday life. I hope that you guys are having a great day. I want to again say thank you to TVPBN for producing my live show. We're going to have a great guest on Thursday again. If you're listening to this is a Tuesday. Thursday, we put out the new episodes. I try to pump them onto iTunes as fast as I can, but we're also live on Facebook Live. If you go to tvpbn/channels/ss, you can donate to the show, but you can also watch the live show, which is on Thursdays at 6:30 Mountain Time, 5:30 Pacific. Help support that way. Do a watch party. Help push the word out. Really, like I said, if you can help me out by sharing this on your social media, wherever you're watching it, all you have to do is take a screenshot of the podcast from whatever you're listening to it on, share it wherever you are, and tag me at west.tankersley. And it will help me to get the word out. It will show people that you're listening, and we can help serve other people. Until next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success. Have a great day.
This was Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley, brought to you by Aggressive Marketing Solutions. If you need a team of marketers to help you with social media, all you need to do to start is text West 2020 to 541-709-6502. 541-709-6502. That is Aggressive Marketing Solutions. Have a great day. See you next time.